Okay, so you've been diving deep into natural language processing, and you send over some really interesting stuff about NLTK and spaCy.
Yeah,
And I thought it'd be fun to kind of take a deep dive with you into this.
sounds good.
For our listeners who maybe aren't as familiar with NLP, what we're really talking about is how do we get computers to understand human language, right?
Exactly.
How can we get them to work with text data, and how can we use it to build cool applications? And NLTK and spaCy are kind of like the toolkits that let us do that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And they're both Python libraries. So if you know a bit of Python, you can really get started with these very easily.
That's awesome. So one of the first things that you sent over was a code snippet about tokenization.
Yeah,
And I think that that's kind of like a fundamental building block, right?
absolutely.
So for someone who doesn't know what tokenization is, how would you explain it?
Well, I like to think about it as teaching a computer to read
Okay.
word by word.
Okay.
So if you have a sentence like, oh, this deep dive is fascinating.
Yeah.
Tokenization is the process of breaking that down into individual units. Like, this deep dive is fascinating.
I see. So it's like identifying all the separate pieces.
Exactly.
So it's
Yeah.
not just seeing a whole string of characters. It's actually recognizing that there are distinct words there.
Exactly. It's the very first step in any NLP pipeline.
Right. Because if you can't identify the word, you can't really do anything with them. Right.
Exactly.
And then you mentioned named entity recognition, which sounds super cool.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit more about that? What is NER?
So NER, it's like taking tokenization a step further.
Okay.
Imagine a computer reading a news article
Okay.
and being able to instantly recognize that Apple is a company, that Tim Cook is a person, and that California is a location that's NER in action.
Wow. So it's like it's understanding the context of the words.
Exactly.
Not just that there are words, but what those words represent.
And it's incredibly valuable for things like information extraction,
Yeah.
quickly identifying key entities in a large amount of text.
That makes a lot of sense. And then one of the things that I always find really fascinating with an NLP is this idea of sentiment analysis.
Yeah.
It's almost like you're teaching computers to read emotions in a way.
Yeah, sentiment analysis is all about gauging the emotional tone behind a piece of text, whether it's positive, negative, or neutral.
Right.
And, think about analyzing thousands of customer reviews instead of reading through every single one.
Right.
You can use sentiment analysis to get a really good understanding of the overall customer sentiment towards a product.
Right. So you don't have to read every single review. You can just kind of get a general sense.
Exactly.
You send a snippet over where the code analyzes a tweet that says, this new phone is amazing.
Yeah.
And it correctly identifies it as being positive sentiment.
Right.
But I'm curious, how does it handle more complex language like sarcasm?
That's a great question, and it's one of the challenges in sentiment analysis.
Okay.
Sarcasm, slang, cultural references, all of these can be tricky for a computer to interpret accurately.
Yeah.
There are different techniques and algorithms, but it's an ongoing area of research.
I see. So it's not perfect,
Not yet.
but it's getting there.
Exactly.
Okay, and then the last thing that we wanted to touch on is this idea of topic modeling,
Yeah.
which sounds a bit like magic to me.
It kind of is.
So what is topic modeling?
Imagine you have a mountain of documents,
Okay.
and you want to understand the main themes running through them.
Okay.
Topic modeling is what lets us do that.
Okay.
It automatically clusters documents based on the words that they share, revealing these hidden connections and patterns.
That sounds super useful for like research or for journalists or anyone who's dealing with a lot of information.
Absolutely. Researchers can use it to analyze thousands of scientific papers,
Right.
identify emerging trends in their field. Journalists can use it to quickly understand the key topics being discussed on social media.
So it's like having a computer librarian that's going through and organizing all this information for you.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So we've talked about all these different techniques and how they work.
Right.
But I'm really curious about the real world applications of this stuff. Like, how is it actually being used today?
Well, first of all, none of this works without proper preparation. So text pre-processing is crucial.
Okay, what is text pre-processing?
Think of it like cleaning up messy data before you can start cooking a delicious meal.
Okay.
We need to remove noise format the text consistently and just get it ready for analysis.
So it's kind of like laying the foundation
Exactly.
before you can build a house.
Precisely.
Gotcha. And what are some of the exciting things that we're building on top of that foundation?
Well, we've already touched on sentiment analysis for understanding customer feedback, but this can also be applied to social media monitoring,
No.
analyzing public opinion on a large scale,
Yeah.
even predicting stock market trends based on news sentiment.
Wow.
It's incredible how much insight we can gain from analyzing language.
Yeah, that's really cool. What about topic modeling? How is that being used?
Topic modeling is being used to personalize your newsfeed,
Oh, wow.
recommend relevant articles based on your reading history,
Oh,
even help researchers discover new connections between seemingly unrelated research papers.
that's amazing. It feels like we're just scratching the surface of what's possible.
Absolutely. And as these technologies continue to evolve, it's only going to get more exciting.
All right.
We're already seeing advancements in machine translation, text summarization,
Right.
even chatbots that can hold surprisingly human-like conversations.
It makes you wonder what the future holds.
It really does.
Well, this has been an incredibly fascinating deep dive.
Glad you enjoyed it.
Thank you so much for walking us through all of this. I've learned a ton. I'm sure our listeners have as well.
My pleasure.
And for all of you listening out there, if you're interested in NLP, keep exploring. It's a rapidly evolving field with endless possibilities.
I agree. It's a really exciting time to be involved in NLP.
Thanks again for joining us,
Thanks for having me.
and we'll see you all next time.
See you later.
But one thing I'm left wondering is, how do we ensure that these powerful NLP technologies are used ethically and responsibly as they become more and more integrated into our lives?
That's a really important question, and one that we need to be thinking about carefully as we continue to develop these technologies.
Food for thought, for sure.
Definitely.
All right, until next time.